Alright. So, supposedly, Nicola's Light got cancelled. Again? Once more? This video was recommended to me. So we're gonna look at that. Apparently, like, his take on anime? Whatever? I know that he's big in criticizing the season 3 of One Punch Man. So that is realistically all I know, and you know the infamous scenes of that and the quality issues that have arisen. Anyways, also, if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. Anyways, we'll jump in. I don't watch that much Nicola's Light. I think I've watched 2 videos. This is the second video now. Anyways, we'll see what this is about. I'm curious.
Another day, another enemy. Another enemy in the anime industry. First, it was the One Punch Man director. Then it was Trash Taste, other YouTubers. And now it's another director that actually worked on a good anime, One Piece. So I'm not gonna waste your guys' time, okay? We're gonna get straight to it. This ain't Farmland Saga Thorfinn. Oh no, this is season 1 Thorfinn. I'm out for fucking blood. One Piece episode director.
I don't know about that one. You know, you kind of don't look like Thorfinn. But we'll see though.
And known animator Henry Thurlow bashes Nicholas Light in new tweets. Unhelpful, uninformed, disrespectful take to the artists. Oh, not the artists. I don't know what this Henry dude's talking about. There were no artists on One Punch Man Season 3, especially not the latest episode. So this is the tweet, the big tweet that everybody's talking about right now. 500,000 views on this shit. Dear everyone that worked on the newest episode of One Punch Man Season 3, never work on an anime again. You're a disgrace and should be ashamed of yourselves. Now, if you don't
Damn, pretty rough. But I feel like if you make a tweet like that, sure, but you should at least elaborate why. See, I don't know the context of what is happening. I'm assuming it's the bad animations, probably the bad, just possibly badly drawn as well. Who knows? I know a little bit of what happened to like One Punch Man, that they've basically like been like thrown around to like a different studio, and since then things have been kind of terrible. Apparently some issues also with time and stuff, supposedly. I don't know exactly. I have caught up when it comes to One Punch Man so far. Season 1, I'm working myself up. I just recently finished The Eminence in Shadow, and the Saga of Tanya the Evil plus movie. I'm working on that. I think here's what I believe. You need to be fair in criticism, and I think with how media currently is, and that is, see, I'm a culture warrior, always have been. I think people are a lot harsher with anime because it is seen as like the last bastion of media that seems to be able to produce good stories, especially with us Westerners being so starved of good stories because our own Western studios cannot produce good stories. So this may be related to why a lot of people are a lot harsher on anime than justifiably so. The standards are crazy. But there's also an issue with that. We have to accept that the industry kind of has a problem, which is that there's not enough youth coming into the industry. Horrendous work hours, horrendous pay. This may affect how some anime may look. I think that, I'm gonna be honest, if stuff like that, what happens with One Punch Man, right? I think there were also AI allegations. It doesn't look good, bad animations. I think like once criticism arises, as stupid as it sounds, just be transparent. Just be like, as the studio, be transparent. Yo, say upfront, honestly, that's the problem. If you can, that is. But I don't know. Maybe there's some NDAs. What do I know? Because I'm pretty sure that the person right, the mangaka, right? I'm pretty sure it's based on a manga, right? Probably isn't all too happy either with the outcome. Who knows?
Know why I wrote this? It's because I watched the latest episode of One Punch Man Season 3, and it was an abomination. I felt disrespected. I'm sure a lot of people felt disrespected. But you know who was mostly disrespected? The creator, the author. I wrote this in total disgust, total anger. What the fuck did I just watch? You have this Henry guy saying I'm disrespecting artists. I don't think any artist worked on this latest episode. And that is what this tweet is directed towards. It's the latest episode, which, if you didn't know, was actually outsourced to different companies. So the people that you...
Yeah, that it's not surprising that it's a bad yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That does surprise me in this case. That every time something is outsourced from the main company, whether it is anime, TV shows, video games, right? A big thing for me, right? I'm a Pokemon fan. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were outsourced to ILCA or ILCA, whatever you want to call them. Worst games in the history of the franchise, easily. I know that feeling of what happens if a product you love gets outsourced and just becomes an infinitely, not just worse product than what you used to, but also worse in this case than the original, which is funny.
Usually work on One Punch Man Season 3, they didn't work on this episode. So I simply said, everybody that worked on this episode, it's horse shit. Never work on an anime again. Maybe I should have been specific. Maybe I should have said, never work on One Punch Man again. So you know what? I'll take anime out. I'll replace anime with One Punch Man because nobody wants you to work on One Punch Man again. I don't care about this artist code where we have to respect every single artist just because of the hard work.
I don't have to. If the product is mediocre, I don't have to. Respect is not the word, but I don't have to appreciate it if the product is is not good. I don't think so. And there is a harsh truth. There's good and there's bad art. That needs to be said. There's not all art is created equal. And I'm gonna say this. This is not so I feel like this is not really a Japanese issue. This is more so a Western issue. But there's a lot of Western artists that are incredibly entitled. They think they're entitled to immense amount of money when they themselves are not that good. Not that I'm an artist. I can't draw. I can't create music. I'm a yapper. Makes sense. But still, there's a general issue with that. Artists are like holy, like the red carpet, and like you can't say anything. I think that's bullshit. Alright, so I made a little Google search on what's wrong with the latest episode. Right? I know like the Garo slide, right? The infamous let me slide, right? I get that. I've seen that. The Microsoft Paint, the PowerPoint presentation, I get it. Apparently, so what I looked up and the overall criticism of what is happening is basically the animation is bad. It's underwhelming, sloppy, whatever you want to call it. Apparently, people don't like the pacing and the direction of where this is going. That it feels essentially slow. That is what it is. And essentially, which is understandable, it pretty much does not live up to the standards of what season 1 and 2 set. Interesting. Okay, so that is what I know right now. I have obviously not seen any scenes. I don't want to spoiler myself, obviously. But interesting.
They put in. If it's shit, it's shit. And I'm going to call it out for being shit. So let's talk about this. Let's start our response to Mr. Thurlow. Unhelpful, uninformed,
I mean, I get this, unhelpful, because there's no proper criticism in this one. Yes. Uninformed. From what I can see, and from the scenes I've seen now, and from what I can tell, it seems that the quality is definitely lacking. Definitely, diabolically lacking. This is like, remember when, Seven Deadly Sins was given to another studio? Have you, like, the Escanor versus, I don't know, Meliodas fight, right? It looked like they shrunk him at one point. It looked horrible. It's not that bad, but it is quite horrendous from what I have seen for now.
Respectful take to artists who are probably right now working their asses off and pulling all-nighters to make sure the episodes make it to air on time. So are you talking about the anime industry? Are you talking about other anime? Or are you talking about One Punch Man Season 3? I highly doubt you are watching One Punch Man Season 3. But what I've been saying is directed towards specifically One Punch Man Season 3, and more specifically, this past episode. You're telling me they were pulling all-nighters to get that episode out. I truly believe they barely put an hour of time into that episode. Animators work because they love the craft, that it breaks their hearts when it doesn't turn well. Well, watching the season broke my heart. What about my heart? My heart means less than theirs? I am so sick of this way of thinking. We have to respect all artists, the sacrifices. It's their fucking job. If the industry is so terrible and they have such a terrible time at their job and they can't handle criticism, then find a different job. You're in the field of art. It's gonna be criticized, especially when you do a bad job. It's gonna be criticized. If I'm a rapper,
Not only that, I think a lot of this is actually driven by greed, to be fair. Because listen, if the working conditions, from what I've heard, are truly that bad, right? We all heard the infamous situation at like Mappa, you know, you get the idea. They're underworked, they're overworked, underpaid, all that stuff. Well, then maybe there needs to be, right? Like, pull the lever a little bit back, dial back the speed on which you're moving, but this industry seems to not get that. Which is, to be fair, that is a Japanese specific issue, to be fair, because of their working culture. But overall, from what it seems to me, that usually when there's a bad situation in that industry, it usually comes down to somebody being very greedy.
and my fans expect quality content, and they were waiting 6 years for a new album just for me to give them 1-minute songs that were complete shit. They have the right to call me out on that shit. They have the right to say how terrible it is. Oh, but what if management was holding you back and you only had a week to work on the album? They don't care. They just want a good album from me. It's been a long time. They're a fan of mine. You don't see other musicians and musical artists like, stop criticizing this person's music. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The all-nighters they put to get it out for you guys. Well, maybe instead of pulling an all-nighter, they should have went to bed. I honestly put together a better One Punch Man Season 3 sleeping in my dreams than what they were able to do. This is the same type of shit that other animator said a few weeks ago, basically telling everybody that we're not allowed to have an opinion because they're working hard on the season and we should be grateful. Fuck that. Can you imagine this happened with One Piece? If the biggest moments in One Piece, like Gear 5, looked like One Punch Man Season 3, you're telling me people wouldn't be saying what I'm saying right now? Fire these
Oh, like that part from Seven Deadly Sins. I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from. He isn't wrong.
Motherfuckers, for ruining Oda's masterpiece, for ruining one of the most popular, if not the most popular anime of all time. Are you gonna stand on the front lines and say,
nah, buddy, that's Dragon Ball, get out of here. Sorry, I disagree.
these people are trying their best. You don't understand how hard artists have it. Listen, Mr. Thurlow, nobody put a gun to this director's head and told him to direct a season that was similar to a ship sinking.
See, I feel like there's a point missing. I wouldn't even criticize the people that worked on this. Maybe the people that worked on this genuinely are not at fault. Maybe there's not enough people, we're not enough people working on it. Maybe there was not enough time. Who knows? We don't know the insights. Maybe they are not even at fault. You know who's at fault? Whoever made it so that it needed to be outsourced. That person is at fault. Those people are at fault. Who knows? Maybe the people that worked on this were not at fault. Who knows? Maybe it's actually not their fault. Maybe it's the person's fault that made it so that this needs to be outsourced. Which is genuinely weird. You already have a lot of criticism and then you outsource an entire episode? Are you okay in the head? You already face a lot of shit. Why would you do that?
No one told him to go out to that ship and try to save it. When everybody knows it's fucking sinking. It's beyond repairing. It's beyond saving. But this director chose to swim out there to try to save this sinking ship. And then he got a bunch of people to try to save the ship as well. And they're all sinking with the ship. And they're all screaming out, why is nobody helping us? Meanwhile, you have me on the dock laughing my ass off. Why did you go out there? Why are you trying to save that ship, you fucking idiot? You expect me to sacrifice my life to go save him? I'm gonna say that was a stupid decision. And now you gotta deal with the consequences. It's like when I do something dumb or say something dumb. I say a lot of dumb shit. I do a lot of dumb shit. I gotta pay. I gotta deal with the consequences. And I understand that completely. I understand that my big mouth is gonna get me a lot of shit online, okay? And in the past, I let that bother me, but now I laugh at it. Now I farm it. You cannot tell me that the animators that worked on this episode, on this season, love what they're doing. And of course, you have almost 4,000 likes on this tweet. Everybody replying, probably calling me a talentless, worthless piece of shit, rage baiter, a stupid reaction channel. He makes money off of everybody's work. I mean, more people are watching my videos than the actual season itself. So I'd like to think that I'm more entertaining than the actual animation that we've been getting. Making people laugh, entertaining people, that's talent. One Punch Man, it seems like there's no talent. It's making people laugh, but not for the right reasons. This guy says it's unhelpful, uninformed, and disrespectful. Well, I'm not here to be respectful. I'm not here to be super informed and know what the animators are doing at their desks while they're working. That's not my...
I agree with the I must admit, I agree with the unhelpful part because there's no criticism in there. You were essentially just saying, never work on anime again. Why? You get even stronger points if you say elaborate why. Animations are bad, sloppy. He isn't wrong for what I have seen. This doesn't look good. This looks horrible. I admit, from what I've seen, this looks horrible. This doesn't look good. At the same time, you need to provide why. The why needs to be provided every time you criticize something. That's usually the problem.
job. My job is to watch the product and give my review and tell you what I think about said product. My job isn't to understand if the animators are taking showers at night, what their lunch breaks are looking like, if they have a lunch break, how many minutes long it is, what the work culture's like. Maybe there's roaches in the building. I don't need to know that, nor do I care. So I completely understand where this guy is coming from. He understands the work life, right? He has to say this. Because if I'm being honest with you, if he didn't feel this way, if he didn't say this, I don't think Japan would want to work with him, because this is the type of shit you have to say to have a job, to be an animator in Japan. That's why the director can't say, Nicholas Light is right. Everybody that's mad, you're all right. No, he can't say that because he'll be fired. The studio can't say anything. They'll be fired. This guy can't say anything because then he won't have a job. So they have to say shit like this. I don't have to say anything. I am my own boss. I say whatever the fuck I want to say.
Well, I kind of disagree with the fact that you cannot care about the work conditions, because the work conditions directly affect the quality, right? Ever heard of, like, the saying minimum wage, minimum work? I think Nicholas, he does very much understand this. If he would work at a job that is absolutely miserable, he'd just do the minimum thing to get through, right? No overtime, no extra work, no extra time, nothing, right? Just the minimum thing to get paid, to go home, have the bills paid, have the food paid, everything else, right? Makes sense. I think you do need to care about the work conditions, because, well, the animations will get bad. You will have no anime if the work conditions are unbearable. And we can see this due to reports saying, yo, we don't have any young people joining animation studios. There is a harsh truth that you need to care about when you are the consumer, that the workers are fine, because if they're not fine, you get an inferior product. Because if I'm constantly stressed out, I will not perform at my best, and there will be no good product. In the reverse, however, the studios need to provide clarity. They need to provide transparency. Yo, we have a problem. We can't get this done. We don't have any people. We don't have the time, etc., 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 etc. So we can go and grab the problem by the roots, which is likely greedy corpos, to be fair. So we need to find who is causing this problem, because you can throw shit at the animators the entire time if the animators are not the root cause of the problem, right? I can sell you are a bad animator. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, right? It is. You need to care. You definitely, as a consumer, you can say I don't care. I just want product and consume and then consume next product. Yeah, that's how most people move. But if an industry becomes so bad, then you have no other choice but to find the root problem. And to me, the root problem seems to be very clearly the corpos and not necessarily the animator. Whoever greenlit the fact that essentially an episode of one of the most anticipated anime in recent times, whoever greenlit that was outsourced is an absolute moron.
I'm gonna call it how it is. I truly believe that everybody that has worked on this season should never touch One Punch Man again. Was I emotional in a moment and I said never work on an anime again? Was that wrong? Okay, but I'm here to replace the word anime with One Punch Man, and I will quadruple down on that shit. And I'm not gonna lie, this hurts a little, but I was ratioed on my own tweet by Doodle Lotol. You are barking at the wrong tree. You could be the most talented artist, but if you haven't been given enough time to do your job, this is what happens. These people are fucking crazy. They are actually defending what we've been getting with One Punch Man Season 3. They're using this stupid fucking excuse about time constantly, as if it's Bandai Namco and time telling these animators, telling these artists, telling this fucking director to put filters every 5 seconds. This is way beyond animation and time. It's these types of excuses that enables this fucking industry to keep doing what it's been doing. If they know what the timeline is about to look like, and trust me, they all know what the timeline is about to look like, and they accept that timeline, they accept that job. You have to deal with people like me that talk the way I talk. Yeah, it's upper management, Bandai Namco production committee. Yeah, it's mostly their faults. Why are you treating One Punch Man, any anime, this is even beyond Bandai Namco, any production committee that treats an anime like this and gives it an impossible timeline? Yes, I blame them, but I also blame the people that accept said timeline. To me, they're just as responsible. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. And listen, a lot of people will be like, well, they need the money. It's their job. Okay, if they accept this timeline, if they accept this crunch, they will get paid, but they will also be criticized, which they could actively just tune out by signing off of Twitter. But nobody...
That technically does not take away the fact that you're barking up the wrong tree, because in the core it's still not the... It's in fact not even the artists, technically. So you have like the higher ups, right, who are basically saying, yo, this studio, make this anime. This studio's higher ups say, yeah, we can do that. And then, right, the artists are like in the corporate ladder, like quite low. To be fair, they're quite low. They're low, right? So I have like these corpus who say, yo, make this anime. The other corpus say, yo, we will make this anime, even if the time is not enough. And then the animators and artists are the ones facing the consequences. So he's technically, he's not wrong criticizing it. He's just barking up, he is kind of barking up the wrong tree, in my opinion. So basically, right, imagine you go into a supermarket, you want to buy a specific product. You realize that that product is, for some odd reason, not as good as it used to be. So you let your anger out on the employee in the supermarket. That is basically what's happening here. We're letting our anger out on the supermarket employee, aka the animator and artists, when it's the corpo's fault. So we need to beat the corpo's ass for the bad working conditions. Because let's face it, nobody's providing good work if you have bad working conditions. So at the end of the day, I mean, the artists, the animators, the average person doesn't have much say in that company, right? You're gonna deliver a mediocre product because somebody else said you're gonna have to do this in that time frame. When you, who has no say, you have to do this. And that's where the problem comes from. So he is you got ratioed for a reason, because technically not wrong. You are barking up the wrong tree, because shitting on the animators that simply cannot provide the quality due to the higher ups in the company saying, yo, you gotta do this, whether it is works or not. Then, like, what are they supposed to, like, go into strike, refuse work refusal? What are they supposed to do? They really can't do much. That's the problem. That's the problem. What needs criticism? What we need is transparency from the studios. And since the Japanese, we don't get those.
Nobody wants to hear that. They want to make me out to be the enemy. They want to make me out to be uninformed, unhelpful, disrespectful, all because I'm saying what most people are thinking. And because I have over 1.2 million subscribers, now they have a big target they could blame. Well, guess what? I don't take anything back. I quadruple, quintuplets down on this shit. The season is ass. Everybody that's working on it is doing a terrible job. None of them should be working on One Punch Man Season 3 because they knew they had a limited amount of time. They knew they had a crunch to give us a product, and the product is terrible. Why would I want people like that working on something I love so much? Why would anybody want that? You know, I'm about to say something that might get me in trouble, but whatever at this point. You guys know me. You guys know how I talk, and I care less and less every single fucking day. I hate this obsession with babying artists. You're not allowed to criticize them. You're not allowed to say anything negative to them as if they're these.
That's not it. Let's say they do have enough time. See, it depends on the context. Let's say they do have enough time, right? Let's say they do have enough time. Let's say the artists themselves say, we can do this in the amount of time that you said we're supposed to do this, right? The artists. Not the CEOs, not the higher-ups, not the corpos, the artists themselves. Go ahead. Give them life. But if the CEO, the higher-ups, or whoever is in charge says, we can do this, while the others say, we can't do this, well, they still have to do it. Again, I feel like you're the producer of the product, the runner of the essentially owner of the product, fucks up, and you're shitting on the worker. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's not the issue. Like, if a musician says, I'm gonna make a great product, and he delivers it, and it's horseshit, yeah, criticize the artist. Do it. But if some CEO in some studio says, yo, you have to do this, you can't shit on the artist, you can't shit on the animators. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't. That doesn't work that way. That doesn't change anything, right? You're criticizing somebody who has no control, right? The only thing they can do is work as fast, work as much as they can, and finish what they can. So yeah, I disagree. I disagree here, to a degree.
Different beings that work harder than anybody in the world. And then I'm hit with the response that I do nothing but sit down and watch anime. So because I go to a basketball game, I can't judge the basketball players. I can't say how terrible my favorite player is doing because I don't know how to shoot a three-pointer.
That's not how it is. You basically... So basically what you're doing is, you're shitting on the basketball player when the trainer is at fault. The trainer didn't give the whoever is running the basketball team essentially didn't give the players enough time to get ready for the match, so now they underperform, which is the one who is that means that the player is not at fault. It's the one who essentially runs the team. That's the you're missing the point. He's missing the point of the fact that these people, these animators, have no control. They have no control. That's the problem. That's just, they have no control, right? They're just teensy tiny workers. It's a blaming the teensy tiny worker in like a chain of like problems. You're shitting on the lowest level of the problem. And maybe the animators are genuinely bad. Who knows? Maybe they are genuinely bad. Who knows? Maybe it's actually not time. Maybe they are genuinely bad. Who knows? And then it's reasonable. But we don't know that. So that's the problem.
I don't know how to play basketball myself. I don't care about how hard this basketball player has worked, how much he has trained, all those sleepless nights. If he's having a bad game, I'm gonna say he fucking sucks, just like any other fan would. But there's something with this world of artists where I can't have an opinion. I can't criticize anything because I gotta think about their feelings. It's not that deep. I just think they're doing a terrible job.
It depends on what you're criticizing. That's the problem. Who you're criticizing. It depends on if you are tackling the problem, which is that these fuckers are too greedy and don't give those animators and artists not enough time, which is the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is greed. We need the root. We can't attack the lowest level. We need the root. That's the problem. If somebody continuously builds bad buildings, it doesn't help to criticize the painter or the bricklayer. That doesn't work. You need to criticize the engineer, the one who designed the building. That's the problem. And if it's not the one who's designed the building, it's the one who owns the company. You need to, if you genuinely want to, you're basically trying to put a band-aid on an axe wound. Doesn't work.
Job. They knew they would be doing a terrible job. People are just calling it out. Just because you work hard doesn't mean everybody should get on their knees and thank you. You know, man, this is why I'm never gonna get invited to these events, right? And in the past, it did bother me. I'm like, damn, why are all these other creators going to the Crunchyroll Awards? Why are these other creators getting invited to the Video Game Awards? And they're going to all of these places. That could be me. Why is it not me? It's because of this. It's because of this right here. It's because of my mouth. And I'm not afraid to use it. I stopped caring about being friends with everybody and getting invited to all of these places a long time ago. Because to get invited to those places, you gotta be PR friendly. You cannot have a voice. You can't voice your opinions on these types of things. You have to talk like this guy right here. You have to have the safe opinions about everything. You have to sacrifice being yourself. And I won't sacrifice being myself. I'm gonna be unapologetically me. And this is why I get so much shit. People aren't used to this. They're used to this. Especially on anime YouTube. Everybody wants—
Yes, in parts. But again, I feel like a lot of people don't tackle the core issue. You need to get rid of the core issue. Otherwise, this will just repeat. They're eventually going to be done with One Punch Man Season 3, and then they're going to grab the next anime, and it's going to have, I'm going to say this, there's going to be a consistent problem. One Punch Man Season 3 will only be the start, and it will continue with other anime as well. Not only for this specific studio that's right now working on it, but many studios, because they can't get their shit together. Because they don't dial back on the production. There's like people who complain that they have to wait so long, but maybe, see, I think I'd rather wait long so that a especially with like, right, video games you can patch. You can't patch movies. You can't patch anime. You can't do that. A bad anime is forever bad. A delayed anime is eventually good, but a bad anime is forever bad, right? You can't patch an anime. You can remake it. But then it's also gonna forever have like that bad taste, the bad aftertaste of scarred fans. There is something to be said, and that is the fact that this industry is moving at a pace that is self-destructive. I think we need to say that. They're moving at a pace that is self-destructive. Because no young person wants to be an animator or an artist under these conditions. And then the industry just dies.
To be PR friendly and say the right things, so they're invited to the Trash Taste podcast. Me, I don't give a fuck about the Trash Taste podcast. I'm not gonna compromise my content just to make industry professionals happy. Say the right things. Respect everybody, y'all. Put the stupid fucking flags in my bio, the pronouns in my bio. I support the current thing. I'm not gonna do that shit. And that's why I get shit, especially from people on Twitter that are bending over backwards for the animators to put their dicks in their asses. They look up to them as gods. And I'm not criticizing this dude's work. This dude's work is next to perfect. I'm just criticizing what he said. It's like people want to judge me and go after me because I'm not afraid to use my voice. They cannot use theirs because they can't say the truth. They have to attack.
The problem is that this dude isn't wrong. Well, to a degree, right? If the animators are talented and the product is shit, then that's not the animators and artists' problem. Then that problem comes from somewhere else. Though again, I find it odd that if you already have problems, you outsource it and then deliver a worse product. If you desperately need to outsource it, at least make sure that it is a fine product. See, the problem isn't even, from what I've seen, is that it's mid animations. It's just downright bad.
Me for saying the truth. And I'm sure a lot of people expected me to apologize, to delete my tweet. You know what? I probably will, because people will talk about it. These people can't stop talking about me. They hate me so much, but they're obsessed with me. Well, I'm gonna make them keep talking about me. So get ready, guys. You ready? You ready? Watch this. Watch this. Delete. Delete. And now they're all going to be in my replies. They're all going to be making their tweets saying, Nicholas Light deleted his tweet, but we have the screenshot. We have the secret information. I always say this in response. Everything I've ever deleted, I don't delete it because I'm trying to hide it. I stand on every single thing I've ever deleted. Not only do I stand on it, I quadruple down on it. So the tweet that got me in trouble today, just
Based Godzilla, by the way. Seems to be Godzilla.
because I deleted it doesn't mean I don't stand by it. If you worked on this newest episode of One Punch Man Season 3, never work on One Punch Man again. And if that hurts these poor animators online or these fans that want to suck their cocks, then so fucking be it. Sayonara, my PNG.
Okay, so I agree with him that we definitely and should criticize artists when they fuck up. I don't think that coddling and make them like roll out the red carpet is a good idea. Not in any way, shape, or form, ever. I don't understand why generally, not just look, where artists are like the holy grail, don't say anything bad. I disagree with him on the fact that he targets directly only the artists and animators because they don't have much say. Who should be criticized is the one who said, yeah, we will do this, whether we have the time or not. Because the way I see it is, if nobody wants to work on that, it's always like a connection, right? They have to do this because they need the money. I understand that, right? They have bills to pay, I get that. I think that we need to fight the root cause. Like, I agree with him that that he criticizes it, right? Fully fine. Fully okay. I don't agree with the fact who he's targeting. Because the average animator can't do much. Like, what is little Timmy gonna do against Big Papa Bear saying, you will do this? Whether you can do it in time or not, they will just deliver a bad product. I feel like we need to target those who are at fault, which is the higher ups. And the ones who think that they can do this in a reasonable time frame when they cannot. And I said it before, I'll say it again, this will be not a One Punch Man exclusive problem. This industry is moving at a pace that is unhealthy. Like, how can you work on like a bajillion projects at the same time and expect anything good to come out of that? How do you expect to hire young talented people into your companies with these conditions? Like I said, as a consumer, you need to care about the employees because they are the ones who work on it, not John CEO, right? We need to acknowledge that this industry has a problem with its working conditions, and it'll get worse with less and less people around. But that is just me. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.